Hey everybody, Danny Bader here, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 25 of our Back to Life podcast. My guest today I'm very excited about. She is an actress, Stephanie Szostak, and I met Stephanie in Nashville a few years ago, and I was just instantly drawn to her energy and her joy and her authenticity, and then we got to know one another a little bit better, and I finally was able to get her on the podcast. You may have seen her over the years in ABC's A Million Little Things. She was in Iron Man 3, where she fought Robert Downey Jr., and she was also in The Devil Wears Prada. And she'll also talk about a new series that she's in on Peacock. So you'll want to listen in. Stephanie she just has a great way of taking life and all of its experiences and putting it into some simple lessons. She's going to talk about self-talk. She's going to talk about not comparing yourself to others, just some really, really good thoughts. How does she move through adversity? What's her morning ritual? So you want to listen in. You're going to get a lot of good nuggets to take away. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of our Back to Life podcast. And Stephanie, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
I'm excited to be here with you, Danny.
Yes. In my intro on the podcast, I spoke just a little bit about how we got to know one another down in Nashville when we were at a workshop together down there. And it was really cool. You're just one of those people, and it happens not a whole lot to me, and I don't know if it does to you, but you just meet somebody and you're like, wow, I really like her energy. I really like where she's coming from. And it was great, right? We went out and had some nachos and a beer, and here we are doing a podcast. So thank you.
I think it's like when you meet somebody and your energies sort of match up. I remember seeing you across the room and I was like, oh, hi.
Yeah, it was cool.
And we sort of clicked and went deep into deep conversation right away. It was very cool.
I like that. Well, let's go into a little deep conversation here. So very quickly, give kind of the high level, Stephanie, of, who is Stephanie? A little bit of your history, where you came from, and kind of how you got into the acting scene, and then we'll go with that.
All right. So where I came from is France. I was born there and I grew up there, but my dad's American and my mom's French. But I grew up in the suburbs of Paris, 30 minutes from Paris. What that environment looked like, it was apartment living. And the reason I'm saying this is because when we would come to the States in the summer to visit my dad's family, I was always amazed at people's houses and how big they were and all that. So I always grew up in an apartment until I was in my 40s. That's the first time I lived in a house. I went to public schools. I took the city bus to school or walked to school. And I always sort of looked to the United States as this ideal land because we would go there on vacation. And as a child, it captured everything that was wonderful for me. And so I ended up going to the States to go to college. I think because I was very curious about living in the States, and also practically because in France we don't have liberal arts education, and I had no idea what I wanted to study. So the United States gave me that option. And I also played golf competitively, and we don't have college sports. So I was able to go play college sports.
Right, you went to William and Mary, right?
That's right, yeah.
We talked about that, and golf. So you could probably hit it pretty far, huh?
No, I mean, look at me. I'm not that big.
I know, yeah, but I've seen women not that big hit the ball real far. Do you still play?
Yes, but not as often as I used to. But actually, this last year I got to play the Ryder Cup. The 2020 Ryder Cup, because of COVID didn't happen.
Right.
But I got to play in this first ever celebrity tournament they had before the Ryder Cup, and my husband caddied for me. So
that was good.
And I played with Tony Kukoc from the Bulls,
the Chicago Bulls. Yeah. Tony, that's
cool. He's a heck of a golfer.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'll bet. So you get out of William and Mary, and then I know you went to New York, right?
I went to New York. I met my husband in college, so we both moved there. We're not married. Moved to New York City. I thought I was going to get a job in sports marketing through an internship. That fell through, and I ended up at Chanel working in marketing in New York City.
Chanel. It's a little different than sports marketing, huh?
Yes.
How did you feel when you got to Chanel? I mean, were you nervous? Were you scared?
Oh my gosh, I was nervous my whole life.
Yes.
I was a very shy person growing up, like to the point where I didn't really talk. In school I didn't talk much. But
Mhm.
then once you know me, I don't shut up. But so yeah, I was shy, but part of it felt good because it was a French company. There was some familiarity there, and I had an amazing boss who I'm
Mhm.
still in touch with to this day.
Mhm.
Um, so she made things really interesting and included me in everything, even though I started just as an assistant.
Mm. And then you worked your way up there. How, to the listeners now, one of the things that I hear a lot, and Stephanie, you probably hear as well, people with this nervousness and this anxiety and this fear of failure and all those things when they enter into a new endeavor. And you've certainly entered into new endeavors. How do you handle that? What are some things that help you move through those uncertain times?
Well, I think early on was just sheer persistence. I think a lot of it came from my dad. So the way to
Mhm.
handle it, a lot of it came from my dad, who really taught me persistence and to be prepared. A lot
Yes.
of that came through golf and discipline, and I'm a hard worker. Um, I also motivated myself through self-talk that was not very kind, but that can be a motivate. We've all had that coach who talks to you like you're a piece of crap.
Yes.
That's kind of
Yes.
how I talk to myself.
Uh-huh.
For many years, I was motivated actually by negative reinforcement. If anybody didn't believe in
Wow.
me, or if that motivated me,
Uh,
until
right.
then, I'll tell you that later. But well,
Yeah.
you asked how. So eventually, that's how I'd be like, you idiot, come on, like get it together. What are you doing?
Mhm.
And then fast forward, a few years later when I started acting, and that didn't work anymore, and it just
Mhm.
made I would spiral down the
Yeah.
self-doubt and fear and all that.
Yeah. So in the intro, I mentioned some of the where people have seen you in the movies and TV and all. So how did you get into the acting thing? How did you? So here you are, you come over, you play golf, you want to go in sports marketing, you get in with Coco, and now you're acting. That's like a really cool career path and not like a straight line. So tell us how that happened, which I think is great. More people
Yeah.
should more people should explore that, I think, rather
Yes.
than just going that straight path and being freaking miserable sometimes, right?
Yes. It's not something that I planned, and it kind of happened, as
Mm-hmm.
life tends to do.
Yes.
Uh, so I was at Chanel 2.5 years there, and then the director of advertising asked me to do a photo shoot for them, an in-house thing. I did that. The photographer asked, "Oh, he thought I was a model." He said, "What agency are you with?" That sort of planted a seed. Oh, maybe I could be a model. And not because I wanted to be a model, but I think it was just sort of this feeling inside that I knew I was putting myself into a box, into this corporate world, and I was just, starting down this path of doing the thing that's expected, which I
Yes.
sort of had done my whole life. And
Yes.
so that prompted me to sort of explore, and I was really lucky because my husband was like, "Go for it," and his cousin, who is older than us and has been a mentor to us our whole life. I asked for his opinion too, and am I crazy to maybe leave a job that has benefits and a paycheck and a prestigious company to do modeling at
Mm-hmm.
26 years old? And he was like, "No, why not?" And he said, "I'll give you a job in my office, so that you can come and go for your castings. You can work in the office, do your Excel spreadsheets, and go on casting." So I did
Right.
that, and then that's how it happened. And then 3 years later, I found myself in an acting class.
Right.
The modeling led to doing commercials,
Right.
and then to me really wanting to take acting classes, and I finally found a theater class, like
Right.
a real serious class in New York City.
Right. And up
And
until that point, like growing up as a youngster, did you ever think about that?
no, I
Acting.
mean,
Wow.
I always loved movies, and I
Yes.
always sort of would leave a movie and be like, "Oh, imagine I was this character."
Right.
Uh, but I didn't. I didn't think anything of it. But once I got myself into this class, I knew I'd found something that was, for the first time in my life, really opening up my heart and
Right.
reaching some truths that I didn't know. I didn't know what they were, but I knew there was something there.
Yes. Bring you some joy, I'm sure, right?
Yes.
Some joy. So I guess there was some rejection along the line, though, as you pursued this acting career, right? Rejection. How do you
Rejection
handle?
98% of the time.
Yeah. How do you handle that?
Um, I mean, live and learn. Really tough, not take it personally.
Hmm.
Uh, I would say the first stage, I fell into the trap of, oh my gosh, they don't like me, so I need to change. What do I need to do?
Mm.
So I tried, I worked on my accent, and I was trying to speak with an American accent and be like that.
Yeah. Yo,
I just,
Adrian.
you know,
I think your
that didn't
accent's just.
work.
I think your
Uh,
accent's perfect.
yeah, well, but that I think that's something we all can relate to. When we get rejected, we think
Hmm.
we need to change. And
Sure.
I think what helped me was eventually asking myself, doing kind of the work, and saying, what does it mean for me to be the best that I can be
Sure.
in as an actor, and
Right.
not, and then realize that that's success. It doesn't, I'm not, it's out of my control whether I get the job or not
Right.
get the job. I just need to
Right.
put it all out there.
Be true to yourself. Yeah. I saw on your Twitter, Stephanie, you had that quote: "The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are." Joseph Campbell, and I think you just touched on it. I think that's a great quote. So, how about people, especially the younger generation now, with all this social media? So many of them, I think, are trying to be someone they're not because they see all these other people out there. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? What would you offer to people? I want to just go a little deeper because you make a great point there. St. Francis de Sales, too, right? A French saint, said, "Be who you are and be that well." Our
Yeah.
two boys went to a Salesian school. So what do you really think about that? For people, what would you offer some younger people who may be struggling with, I don't know if I fit in. I don't know. I got to change.
I think it's so hard when you're young because you have no idea who you are. You
Hmm.
don't, how could you know who you are?
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's part of growing up is we compare ourselves. We want to fit into the tribe. We want to be accepted.
Hmm.
Uh, and social media sort of amplifies all the doubt and the comparisons and the judgment. It gives all of that a bigger voice.
Yeah.
Um, it like raises the temperature on all the stuff that we don't really want to pay attention to, like comparison and judgment and what other people are doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Um,
pretty crazy.
I think, I have two kids, and it's hard to give advice.
Mm.
I think I don't
Well,
know whether
you have what, college and high school, right?
college and high school. Yeah,
Two
two boys,
boys, two
two
boys.
boys.
So
Yeah.
how do you engage in conversations with them when you feel like you need to, when they come to you or you observe something and you think maybe I can help them out a little bit? You're not going to tell them, but
Right.
how do you engage with them? What do you
About
say?
social media?
Anything in their life as they
Oh,
continue to
oh,
grow.
just asking people questions, right?
Yeah,
That's usually the best. Um,
I
uh,
think so.
uh, and I can't say that I'm great. A lot of times I offer my piece of advice before anything else to my kids.
Well, that's because you're a mother, and
Yeah,
mothers are superheroes, so they get a
but
free
I
pass.
try to remind myself, and I think also giving examples of your own life, like concrete things of your own insecurities and what you've gone through, like that always seems to resonate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think social media is a really dangerous thing if you
Mhm.
don't control it.
Mm.
Setting guidelines for yourself, I guess, would be the best thing.
Yeah, I think so. What insecurities do you have now? You have any?
Uh, what insecurities? I always, okay. So this is a thing. I think insecurity, one of my first insecurity goes back to my childhood when I was probably 5 years old, and
Right.
is still the paths are really deep to this day. About when everybody knows something. Okay, I'll tell you a story. This summer, or when
Love
I was
stories.
young, when I was 5 years old, we used to go in the States on vacation, and my parents would drop me off um, to play with friends. And I would tell my dad, "Did you tell them I don't speak English? Make sure you tell them I don't speak English. Otherwise, they're going to think I'm stupid."
Right.
Because I didn't speak English. And that was like,
Wow.
I remember, like, just like, make sure
Oh
did you
gosh,
tell
yeah,
them?
sure.
Yeah. So this thing still haunts me to this day, whether it's English or anything else. If I'm the only one who doesn't know something in the group, I feel like an idiot. So this summer, I was at a party, a birthday party in my town, and there was this guy there who looked really cool. Like he looked like an artist. He didn't have the golf shirt on. I was like, oh, how cool. And the host introduced me. This is Gary. And I'm like, oh, hi, Gary. And he's like, no, no, not Gary, Harry. And I go, oh, hi, Harry. And then I get that he's a musician. I'm like, oh, I knew it. You're an artist. What do you do? I sing. I'm a musician. I was just in Barcelona. And I'm like, oh, wow, this guy must be quite something.
Hmm.
And then I'm like, where are you from originally? I hear an accent. He's like, Nashville or New Orleans. He's from New Orleans. And I'm like, how'd you end up here? And he said, well, at 18, I got a music deal that got me to New York City. And so I'm like, wow, he's really amazing. And he was so humble and kind.
Hmm.
And then, the party goes on. We move on to other people. And then when we leave, my husband looks at me in the car and he goes, you know who that was, right? And I'm like, oh, shoot. Here I did it. I'm like, no, who? And he goes, Harry Connick Jr.
I'm thinking as soon as you said New Orleans, yeah, I'm thinking Harry. Oh my gosh. Hey everybody, just take a quick break from our episode here. If you've been listening, you know I have been engaged in that 14 Days of Magic challenge sponsored by Magic Mind, who has invented and come up with and developed the first productivity shot, a productivity drink in the morning. And after 14 days, the contest was this: 2 reasons. You would set out and identify 3 things that you wanted to improve to grow into the best version of yourself. For me, it was a little more focus, get more done in less time, and have a sense of relax and a sense of calm. And I got to tell you, after 14 days, I got all of that. All of that. I think probably the ingredient that I like the most is L-theanine. And that what that does for us is it naturally reduces the body's stress levels. So I would look forward to taking this shot. And I still have my 1 cup of coffee. I used to have 2 or 3 because Magic Mind also has something in there that will slow down the release of the caffeine of your coffee. So you can still enjoy that cup of coffee. I mean, I love the taste, the smell of coffee in the morning. I got to have it. The second reason for the challenge was that Magic Mind would donate to the Amazon rainforest for the reforestation of that. So 2 really, really good reasons for the challenge. If you want to find out more, what I'd recommend is you go out to magicmind.co/14. That's the number 14 Days of Magic. magicmind.co/14 Days of Magic. And in there, you can get your Magic Mind. And when you check out, use my code BTL14. BTL14 for a discount. And then through that same website, you can post any content, videos, anything about how you've experienced this 14 days of magic. And when you do that, you will be entered into a contest to possibly win between 1 and 3 months subscription to Magic Mind. So get out there, check it out, www.magicmind.co/14 Days of Magic, if you are somebody committed to always becoming the best version of yourself. Now back to the podcast. But we'll just go back though. So now you realize it's Harry Connick Jr. And what did you say? What did you do?
Well, we're in the car with my husband, so I'm just like, crap. And it seems like such an innocent, funny thing, but it actually, for me, it brings me right deep.
Hey, Steph, you're freezing up again.
Are we frozen?
Yeah. Did I freeze?
I think you froze, yeah.
Yeah, you froze too.
Okay.
All right. Should we we'll keep
Okay.
up. Take two.
So we just froze. I'm gonna say it again.
Yes.
Um, I was in the car with my husband, and it seems like such, oh, who cares? You didn't know it was Harry Connick Jr. But for me, because it's linked to this past of the same scenario just played out in different environment, it
Hmm.
sets me every time to that place like I'm such an idiot. What are they going to think? They're going to think I'm an idiot. I'm much better at it now. I have actually tools to, I'm like, I come from a different culture. It's
Sure.
okay. Like, it's okay. I bring value in a different way. And but a few weeks later, I saw the people at the birthday party with other people, and they
Hmm.
were like, "Oh, we have to tell you the funniest story about Stephanie at the party." Blah blah. Blah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so everybody's going to go. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. But that's cool though. You just reframe that, right?
you have to reframe it with
Yeah, I think it's so
something,
powerful. Yep.
but something that is powerful to you and that is true too, right? Like
Mhm.
that you believe in, not
Yeah.
just like I don't care about this. It's fine because I do
Yeah.
care about it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. We can certainly beat ourselves up. And I think something I offer people, when we have those crappy thoughts, and right, my book, Taking the Shit Out of the Show, is all about that. Those 7 short stories it's just not about not having those thoughts. It's about not letting them win. So it's really cool how you just kind of reframe it. And what I offer people sometimes is I'll say, you have to see it, right? See the language going on, send it out, and then start over. So, right,
Yes,
see it, send it, and then start over and say, what else can I say to myself? I think that's really cool. That is good.
it is. I think the one thing that impacted my life when you asked earlier, how do you handle rejection? How do
Mhm.
you handle being shy? How do you handle all of it comes down to self-talk for me.
Yeah.
Like it's actually learning what self-talk helps you and creating good self-talk that's
Hmm.
based anchored in reality
Yep.
and your own life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. As a matter of fact, I'm almost finished reading. You might dig this book. It's called The Confident Mind. I
Yeah.
don't know if you ever saw that one. Yeah. Our daughter, Lizzie, I spoke to you about, because we have Luke, Joey, and Lizzie. Lizzie's a runner at Penn, and she
Yeah.
recommended I get it. Yeah. It's called The Confident Mind. You might want to check that out. I think you'd like it. And any
Great.
of my listeners as well. Just really full. This guy, Nate Zissner, really full of the science behind it, but he really makes it so real because he has so many good examples. And I'm telling you, I'll be 59 next week. Even as I read it, I'm like, oh my gosh, these 3 pages are talking to Danny Bader right now, at this
Yeah.
age. Yeah. So that's cool. I like that.
And
How
does
do
he
you,
talk about self-talk?
oh my gosh. Yeah, Stephanie.
Yeah.
A lot of it is. Yep. He's done a lot of work with, the military, Navy, those kinds of folks, athletes. Oh yeah. And
Hmm.
it's all of that. How do you reframe it?
Yeah.
So similar to what a lot of us talk about. But it's probably one of the best books that I've read on that whole notion of self-talk and, holding useful thoughts. I talk
Yes.
about hold useful thoughts. Yeah, it's
There's
really a good.
a there's a sports psychologist called Bob Rotella
Oh
who
yeah.
was at UVA. You know him?
Yeah. Well,
He
I don't
said
know him, but I know of him. Yeah. Tell me.
he worked with a lot of golfers, and he said you're not responsible for the kind of thoughts that knock on your door, just like guests knocking at your door to come over for dinner,
Hmm.
but you can decide who you're going to let in or
Oh,
not for dinner. And I love that. It's like, yeah, we get all those thoughts,
I
then
like it.
have the choice to let them in or not.
Yes, that's the truth. And you and I, when we were together in Nashville, I remember we were talking a little bit about stillness and meditation and those things. And I think that's what's so powerful for us as well. When people get that we have these intrusive negative thoughts, what meditation does, I think, so well is, people think you got to sit there and not have any thoughts. And it's really becoming more conscious of them. And you can kind of pick and look at them and go, wait a minute. I have the ability to think differently on this. So it's not
Yeah.
about not having those thoughts. It's you realize that you're not your thoughts. You're the thinker of them. So, wow, a little bit more in charge we can be then.
Yeah, good
Cool.
training for the rest of the day to bring awareness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So how do
and
you, so tell us a little bit what you've been in. in terms of movies real quick? Give me a list of where we've seen Stephanie, movies and TV.
You might have seen Dinner for Schmucks, which
Mm-hmm.
was a comedy with Paul Rudd and Steve Carell. You might have seen Iron Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
I played a bad guy. I beat up Downey.
Mm-hmm.
You probably did not see R.I.P.D. because that was the bomb of whatever year it was, the summer that it came out. But
Okay.
it was really fun because I got to work with Kevin Bacon and Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds. And I'm not doing this to name drop.
No, I think it's cool.
It's stuff that really working with these people, I've learned from them, and I feel so fortunate. And then I think a show that maybe a lot of people have seen is called A Million Little Things. It's
Mm-hmm.
on ABC, and it actually touches a lot upon, just human relationships. It opens up, it's a group of friends, and when the show starts, one of them dies by suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And so it goes into their they had no idea he was the guy who had it all together, who had the perfect life, who seemed happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it opens up the conversation amongst all of them of like, why don't we talk to one another, why don't we open up? So yeah, those are a
Yeah.
few.
Yeah, I've seen some of that. You've done great work in that one.
Oh, and recently
And Iron Man too. My dad's 93 and he loves any movie where there's explosions and people get shot and killed. And I remember him telling him that I met you. And I said, she's like the smaller little one. Her eyes are on fire. Oh my God, I love her, as my dad said. So yeah, you got a fan in my 93-year-old dad.
Right. And then I just have a show that's out just now on Peacock. So I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
do a little PR. It's called The Calling. It's a
Yes.
detective show. It's an eight episode mini series. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
cool. It's very
Mm-hmm.
cool, actually.
And it's called The Calling, Stephanie?
Yeah, The
Uh-huh.
Calling, and it's for detective, and it's just three stories.
Uh-huh.
I play in the first story. It's
Uh-huh.
very cool. Some
Are
good.
are you do you play a detective?
No, I play the mom of a missing child.
Oh, okay, got it. Cool. All right, we'll have to check it out. That's on Peacock.
Yes.
And it's playing now.
Yeah, it's all available. You can binge it.
Good. Oh yeah, there's some binge people in my life for sure. They can binge
Yeah.
it. How do you do what's your practice in the morning? You've got great energy, you've got great resilience. What do you do in the morning? Anything when you kind of come back to life each day?
Yes. Actually, the morning is I'm not a routine person, but the morning's a routine. I
Mm-hmm.
get up, I have coffee with my husband,
Mm-hmm.
and he makes my cup of coffee. And then I do something called the 5 minute journal,
Mm-hmm.
which is a gratitude journal. It asks you for three things you're grateful for, three things that would make this day great, and then an affirmation, I am, and you fill it in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I read a page of The Daily Stoic that by Ryan Holiday.
Yes, I love that.
It's a really great book for
Mm-hmm.
anyone. It takes literally a minute and a half to read, if that, and it's just a great thought for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I created a playbook for myself in my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like an album of all the stuff that brings me inspiration, motivation, that reminders of what brings me joy, how I want to show up in the world today. When you read a book, like right
Mm-hmm.
now, you read this book about the confident
Confident mind.
mind.
Yep, sure.
Yeah. And
Yep.
you said there's those 2 pages that you really resonated with.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you underline in your book or if your books are sacred.
Oh no, I mark. That's why I love books, because I can mark them up. I was on
Okay.
the plane back from Chicago today, just arrows
Yeah.
and stars and everything.
And you write in the margin and you're like, yes.
You got
So
it, Stephanie.
So that is the reason why I created a playbook, because I had all these books or journals or folders on my computer with these great thoughts that you get either from a book or a podcast or
Mhm.
somebody in your life. And then what? Where do they go?
Yeah.
So the concept was just like a sports team has a playbook that with their winning strategies
Mm-hmm.
that evolves throughout, their career, I created my playbook with all this stuff so
Mm.
that every morning before all the noise comes in, I look at it and I play it with music. So it's sort of this experience of
Mm-hmm.
like storytelling experience. And by the time I'm done, I'm like, yes,
You ready to roll?
I feel, yeah. And it depending on the day, because some days you feel like crap. So some days I'll feel a little better. Some days I'll be motivated. Some days I'll feel, inspired. Every day something different is going to grab my
Mhm.
attention. So
What were
that
you, what were you
yeah.
thankful for today in your gratitude journal? Today or yesterday?
I was grateful for my dear friend who has stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and we
Mm,
just learned that his treatment is actually shrinking the cancer.
right on.
That was the number one. I was grateful for my son, the conversation we had yesterday, and I don't remember the third thing that
That's
I was.
okay. That's all right. That's cool. I'm glad your friend is doing well there.
Yes,
Send
me
some
too.
send some energy his way.
Thank
So
you.
so what else
And
is
then
up?
I meditate.
What's that?
And then I'd meditate also.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How do you meditate? Do you have a particular practice? Do you use apps, music? How do you do
I
that?
do, when I started, I used to do guided meditation, but eventually I got trained in transcendental meditation.
Right.
So you don't need anything. You just sit down on wherever you want in your car,
Yeah.
in your chair, and you just close your eyes and
Mhm.
20 minutes, that's it.
Just drop in, right?
Yes.
Drop in. That's cool. That is cool. How about anything bigger than us? Spirit, consciousness, God. You and I had some chats around that. How's that fit into the world of Stephanie?
Yes. Definitely. I'm not religious.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I was born Jewish. My mom was Catholic. She converted, but I wasn't raised religiously at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I had an older brother who passed away, and he was my hero and a big influence in my life. And he passed away when he was 28. I was 20, and I just had so many experiences feeling him and him talking to me. And I think that really, was my first feeling of there's something more. And then
Mm-hmm.
all the work that all the reading, the meditation, all that just connects you to sort of this place I think that we all have,
Mm-hmm.
uh, spirit, right? You might call it. And I think we all share it. And I think it's in us, but it's bigger than us too. And it's the
Yes.
one thing that if we open the door to it within us, then we can sort of find this compassion and grace and um, courage within. And then we see the other people with it too.
Mm-hmm.
And the world with it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it makes life easier to have that belief, and it
Yeah.
also makes it more beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. And I think it does. I did a podcast not too long ago, and the woman said she had a great thought. She said, if all of us would just realize that we're just walking one another home. And
uh,
I thought, man, doesn't that kind of sum it up? Yeah.
yes.
I have to do a talk tonight at a church. And actually, I'll talk a little bit about Pascal's wager. So Pascal, the French, again, we have this theme of a lot of wonderful people coming out of France, right, Stephanie? Yourself included. But his wager was that we can either believe in God or not. It's almost like a bet. So if we believe in God and live a life of goodness as best we can, and we die and there's nothing, well, then you lived a life of goodness. Although if you die and there is something, you won the bet, so to speak. And
Mhm.
I very much just paraphrase Pascal. He's probably rolling over in his grave saying, Dan, you didn't do too much justice to my wager theory.
But
But that is it. That's cool. So what else is up for you next? And where can people find you? What's happening? What are you up to?
I am gonna go back and shoot a million little things for season 5. Really excited about that, to be a
Great.
part of their last season. And people can find me on Instagram. That's the only place really that I'm on, at Steph Shortstack.
Mm-hmm. Steph Shortstack.
Yeah.
I
And I'm
like it.
also I'm working a lot with a nonprofit called Give an Hour, and they're a national mental health nonprofit. And they have been incredible. They actually really like this concept of the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
So we presented it to their community, and we're not now writing a guide together
Mm-hmm.
to help people sort of create their own playbook. And we're also working on an app to
Yeah, I know you were talking about that. That would be really cool, I think, where people could just capture whatever inspires or grounds them. And as you
Mhm.
said, just keep building it. So now it's theirs and they don't have to go, oh, where's that book that I read 2 years ago? Because there was something in there that really
Yeah.
resonated for me. I think that's a brilliant idea. I really do.
And categorize it because it could get overwhelming, but
Oh yeah.
we all have different buckets in our lives, whether it's relationships, parenting, golf, whatever. But here it would be at your fingertips, easily retrievable and accessible.
I think that's good. Keep putting your energy on that. I'll certainly buy the app when it's available.
It will be free.
Yep, that's even better. That's even better. What's the name of the nonprofit again? People might want to check it out.
Give an hour.
Give an hour. Cool.
Yeah. The
And what's
reason, yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
The reason it's called Give an Hour is because part of what they do is work with mental health professionals
Mm-hmm.
who give an hour of their time for free to
Mm-hmm.
populations in need. And it's not just 1 hour, it's 1 hour a week until you need it.
I
But
think
they
that's great.
also they go into communities, they do peer, I can't remember, peer service.
Mm-hmm.
They work with victims of man-made
Mm-hmm.
disasters, natural disasters, people suffering from the opioid crisis. So
Mm-hmm.
they do a lot of amazing work.
Doing some great work. Yeah, great work indeed.
And,
Well,
and a lot in the military.
oh, yeah, that's even greater work, right? Anybody in need, right? We just show up and lead with love a little bit. The
Yeah.
world needs more of that. So, Stephanie, as we wrap up, you're having lunch with somebody
Hmm.
and you're never going to see them again. And they
Hmm.
say, Stephanie, what are three things that I should really stay aware of in life? What are three principles that I should really stay aware of in my life? What would you offer them?
Um, can I give you a little story?
I love a story.
Okay.
And you and I could probably talk for another 5 hours. So, yeah, let's go.
Okay. The first one would be the story is when I was young, my brother came home and said, "Hey, we can get this VCR for free."
Mm-hmm.
And this VCR was probably coming from a stolen thing, that
Got it.
he got. And my mom was like, "Oh, great." And my dad was like, "Oh, no, we don't. No, we're not." And my dad said, this is a lesson he's repeated to me more than once, is you will always know what the right thing to do is. You may not always do it, but you'll always know what it is.
Mm.
And that stayed with me forever. And we did not get the VCR.
You did the right thing.
We did the right thing.
I think that's great. You do. You always know what the right thing is. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
What
then the
else?
second one, I would say build your playbook to anyone who is working on themselves, because, true progress really takes daily commitment of us reminding ourselves of the things we want to incorporate in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's helped me a lot. And I think it can help others. And the last thing I will say is don't follow the herd. Keep on exploring.
Mm, I love it. Three good things. Three very, very good
I
things.
have a story for don't follow the herd. Do you want to hear
Give it. Yeah, give it to me. Give it to us.
it? So when I was young, for 13, I was playing in the regional junior championship of golf
Mm-hmm.
to qualify for the national. And it was pouring rain, Danny, like you wouldn't know it. Like you couldn't even have the umbrella open. You were walking, it was like,
Yep.
and the three people I was playing with said, we got to the ninth hole, they said, we're quitting. That's it. And I was like, uh-oh. And I wanted to quit too. And I called my dad,
Mm-hmm.
and big teacher of in my life, my dad. And I said,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to quit. Ooh, it's miserable. And he goes, no, 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 no. I'm going to be right there. You joined the group ahead of you. You're not quitting. I'll come though. I'll come and caddy for you for the next 9 holes.
Mm.
And so I didn't follow what most people did. There was only like 4 of us who stayed. We finished together. My dad came. It was pouring rain, but it ended up being really fun. And I qualified. I was the only one who finished in my category, so I qualified for the national championship.
Right
And then I
on.
won.
And you
So
won.
I won. So, followed the herd. You would just, everybody's quitting, I'm quitting. So
Yeah. That is a great story. Great story indeed. Well, Stephanie, I'm sure that our listeners certainly enjoyed all your wisdom and your energy. I think you're just a beautiful soul, and I'm very thankful that we are friends. And
me
I
too.
look forward to our paths crossing again. But thanks for your
Thank you.
time.
Thanks for having me, Danny. Right
You
back
got
at
it.
you.
All right. All right, everybody. Till next time, get out there, live a life of fulfillment and resilience, because that is what you are here for. Take care. Hey, everybody. Well, wasn't that just a great episode? As I said, Stephanie is just so down to earth. And I love when she always says, "Can I tell you a story?" because she has so many of them. What really landed for me was just her curiosity for life, to let life unfold and take some chances and take some risks. And I really liked her morning ritual. I talk an awful lot about that, and I think it's so important for us. I always say, what are the most important 3.5 hours of your week? And I would say that it's the first 30 minutes of each day. And I love how she talked about that. I also love her affection and commitment to her family and to her father and her mom and her late brother who passed away. You can just feel that connection. What I really liked at the end is a couple of things that she said is, you will always know the right thing to do. She said, you may not do it, but her father said, you will always know the right thing to do. And then at the end, she said, don't follow the herd, right? Listen to that voice inside of yourself. The poet Rumi said, there is a voice that does not use words, listen. And I think we should pay attention more to our inner voice. So I'm sure you enjoyed it. Please go ahead and comment on the podcast, share away, post it on social media. And until next time, create a wonderful life of lots of fulfillment and resilience to move through the difficult challenges, because that's what we're here for. Take care.